During World War II, Brazil sent out many men to the Amazon to farm rubber. There, they neglected them so much that many of them ended up dying. But before we can fully understand the stories of the rubber soldiers, we need to understand the context this takes place. First, we need to talk about natural rubber. Natural rubber is made from the tree Hevea brasilensis by extracting the white sap from them, adding some chemicals so they don't solidify on the spot, and adding acid to extract the rubber. Then, excess water is removed, and you have rubber. This rubber was vital for everything in armies, from tires to gas masks to surgical gloves to planes to tanks. It was an essential resource, especially during war. These trees were native to Brazil, but European nations later shipped them off to Southeast Asian colonies, as Brazil was independent, and they did not want to buy from a nation they couldn't even control. Brazil also had a whole situation with trying to reinstate ball and chain slavery for their rubber farms, but I don't think that's the reason Europe stopped buying, considering the entire history of Europe. In the colonies, they made the plantations more effective. Brazil simply could not compete. Even the US bought from these South Asian colonies. This led to Brazil abandoning rubber as an industry, but they still had tons of rubber trees. At a drop of a dime, they could produce tons of rubber, and that's when World War II happened. During World War II, Imperial Japan very quickly went to conquer many Southeast Asian colonies, including the ones that provided rubber, which crippled Allied armies. There was now a need for hundreds of thousands of tons of rubber quickly. This led to the US coming to Brazil, desperate for rubber, and paying them millions of dollars to get rubber fast. The US would also invest in a synthetic rubber program. Brazil, having received this money, and if the US not caring about how they got the rubber, had an idea. See, it was a tried and true method throughout all of history: exploitation of the poor. The northeastern part of Brazil was poor, and many people there were looking for some way to get out of poverty. Brazil promised riches and a better life to the men who'd come help them farm rubber in the Amazon, and around 55,000 men and an unknown number of family members jumped on this opportunity, wanting a better life for themselves and their families. Little did they know, Brazil would not deliver. These 55,000 men and many of their families would be moved to the Amazon. The men, and a lot of their children, would be taught how to extract rubber sap from trees, and that was it. No more support after being dropped off in the middle of the largest rainforest in the world. As you can imagine, it did not really go well. Due to this, a third of the people who came would die in the first year of this project, due to diseases, animals, natives, and other struggles. Living conditions were horrible, and rubber was all that mattered. Not education, not anything. To add on to it, if you caught an illness and built up debt because of it and died, the debt would be passed on to your family, leaving many much poorer at the end than at the start. If you even got to the end, that is. After the initial death, many more people would die, leaving only a fraction of the original people alive. The cherry on top, they never produced enough rubber for the Allies, not even close. They only ever exported 13,000 tons of the hundreds of thousands of tons needed, while the American synthetic rubber breakthrough, made from petrol products, supplied the war effort. After the war's end, the rubber soldiers were simply tossed away. Brazil paid them nothing, and just left them stranded in the forest. The surviving rubber soldiers who didn't bring their families never saw them again. Brazil swept this under the rug. On this massive violation of human rights, Brazil pleads the legendary defense of, oops. It was only in 2015 that Brazil decided to give some compensation. After 7 decades, most of the original men were not even alive anymore, just some children that were brought with them. The 12,000 people eligible now are nothing compared to the amount that came. Even worse, they only ended up giving 25,000 reais, which is Brazilian currency, which, even when adjusted for purchasing power, is absolutely nothing compared to the work that was done in the 70 years that delayed it. The rubber soldiers and their descendants are still fighting to get their fair compensation, but this will likely be an injustice Brazil will never fully pay for. But even so, the rubber soldiers are determined to get justice before the last of them dies. After making this video, it kinda hit me that I should end on some sort of high note or provide some good news, but there isn't too much related to this topic because, they didn't really pay them back much. It was after 70 years, and it's not really good, particularly. So I'll just give some unrelated good news. Half of the US's new energy additions will be solar energy, and many US fossil fuel power plants are starting to shut down, which is all promising for the future of not burning to death. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe, That really helps a ton, and turn on notifications to not miss another video. If you didn't like the video, then I don't really know why you watched it all. Doesn't really seem like a good use of your time if you really didn't like it, but thanks, I guess. As always, if you notice an inaccuracy, you can comment about it, and goodbye.